The sound of clinking glasses, cheerful laughter, and smooth jazz filled the rooftop terrace of the downtown building I had called home for the past 7 years. The sunset cast a warm orange hue across the skyline as colleagues raised champagne flutes in celebration. To Kelly! Hannah, my closest friend at the firm, lifted her glass high. From entry-level analyst to senior strategy director, you've more than earned it. A chorus of cheers followed. I smiled, heart full. This promotion wasn't just a new title. It was validation. Proof that the late nights, the missed birthdays, the weekends buried in pitch decks, they had all led somewhere. Across the crowd, I met eyes with Vincent, my boss and former mentor. He raised his glass, offered a tight-lipped smile, and turned away almost instantly. Odd, but not entirely surprising. He'd been distant for weeks. Vincent had once been my biggest advocate. We worked side by side on the firm's biggest deals. He had praised my instincts and leadership, but lately, he had become cold, short in meetings, dismissive. At first, I thought stress was the cause. Q3 had been rough, but something felt off. Still, I wasn't going to let his mood steal this moment. This was my night, until it wasn't. Just as I set my glass down, Vincent stepped into the center of the terrace and tapped a spoon against his glass. "Everyone," he called out, "one final announcement." The music dimmed. A hush fell. He waited a beat too long, clearly savoring the silence. My stomach twisted. He turned to me, a smirk barely hidden. "Kelly, you've had your celebration," he said, his voice dripping with smugness. "Now it's time to say goodbye. Your position is being terminated effective Friday." Gasps rippled through the crowd. He continued, "We're restructuring. Your responsibilities will be redistributed across the leadership team. It's nothing personal, just business." He raised his glass again. "I wanted to give you a proper send-off." The music still played, faintly, but the warmth of the night had been drained. Some people looked at me in shock. Others averted their gaze. Hannah's face went pale. I should have cried. I should have screamed. I should have asked why. Instead, I smiled. "No problem," I said. Vincent blinked. He hadn't expected that. He wanted drama. A scene. He wanted to feel powerful. But I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. "Friday, then," I said, turning back to the table and taking one last sip of champagne. The party ended awkwardly. People left early. Some whispered, "Apologies." Vincent disappeared. But I stayed. Because what Vincent didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had seen this coming weeks ago. Late one night, I overheard a conversation in the hallway. Vincent, on the phone, whispering about phasing me out, about letting me enjoy the party before cutting me loose. He thought he was clever, but I was already steps ahead. I had taken action, quietly, strategically, because this wasn't just about a job. It was about betrayal. And people like Vincent, they always underestimate the quiet ones. Friday was coming. But what he didn't know was that by then, it would already be too late. The elevator doors closed behind me with a soft hiss. Thursday morning. Just one day left. Co-workers avoided my eyes as I walked to my desk. Some typed furiously. Others gave me awkward, sympathetic glances. I didn't blame them. This place thrived on silence, not loyalty. Vincent didn't need to be liked. He needed to be feared. I turned on my monitor. My inbox was packed. HR paperwork, calendar updates, transition forms. A cold, clinical goodbye. Then I opened a hidden, encrypted folder on my personal drive. Inside was the result of 2 months of quiet investigation. Vincent's financial misconduct. I hadn't gone looking for it. I stumbled upon it while reviewing budget reallocations for our Singapore expansion. Something didn't add up. Vendors with no physical offices. a frozen yogurt shop in Montana listed as a consulting firm. It didn't take long to connect. The dots. Vincent was rerouting company money through ghost vendors, inflating costs, padding expense reports. Subtle, but sloppy. I didn't confront him. I went to a lawyer, Teresa, a sharp corporate whistleblower attorney. She guided me. Document everything, create a trail, and most importantly, don't tip your hand. So, built the file. Time-stamped everything. Saved 3 copies, a secure cloud backup, a printed report sealed in an envelope, and a USB drive that never left my purse. By the time Vincent gave his smug farewell speech at my party, I already had my finger on the trigger. Later that day, I met Hannah at a nearby coffee shop. "I still can't believe he did that," she said, publicly, like you were just some intern. "He wanted it to sting," I said. "You didn't even flinch," she whispered. "He looked totally thrown." I smiled faintly. Silence unsettles men like Vincent more than outrage ever could. "You're planning something, aren't you?" "Just preparing for my exit." She narrowed her eyes. "Do I want to know?" I looked out the window. "Probably not, but you'll find out." Back at the office, I printed a clean, professional transition report. Everything my replacement would need, not generosity, contrast. Because when the storm hit, I wanted it to be clear. I did everything right. That afternoon, I received an automated calendar invite. Final exit interview, Friday, 3 p.m., neat, tidy, as if I were being deleted. But what they didn't know was that by 3 p.m. Friday, the system itself would be on fire. Friday arrived. The city hummed with normalcy. But for me, everything felt different, like lightning under clear skies. I dressed with care. Black, blazer, deep blue blouse, subtle gold earrings, my storm armor. As I walked through the office, I could feel the tension. Rumors had begun. Something felt off. Vincent hadn't been seen all morning. By 9 a.m., I was at my desk, ready. The sealed envelope was in my drawer, the USB drive in my purse. The board's ethics committee had received my anonymous tip earlier that morning, complete with wire transfers, ghost vendors, and a final note. I trust the board will handle this internally before authorities need to get involved. At 9:15 a.m., Vincent stormed out of his office, red-faced, slamming the door behind him. 10 minutes earlier, the board had received my report. By 10 a.m., General Counsel had arrived, a woman I'd only seen during crises. This was one. At 11 a.m., I was called into a casual meeting with HR. Denise smiled nervously. "Kelly, we just want to check on you, make sure you're okay." "I'm fine," I said calmly. "It's been a productive week." She shifted. "We want you to know this wasn't personal. It was restructuring." "Of course, just business." Her smile twitched. She sensed the temperature rising, but didn't yet see the flames. By noon, Vincent's office was dark, his assistant gone. At 12:45 p.m., I received a message from an unknown number. "We received your report. Please remain in the building. A board representative will speak with you shortly." At 2:30 p.m., I walked to the conference room for my exit interview. Vincent wasn't there. Denise was, but this time she wasn't alone. "Kelly," said the man beside her, standing as I entered, "I'm James Price, internal counsel for the board. I'd like to ask you a few questions." "Of course," I replied, taking a seat. He didn't smile. He pulled out a single sheet of paper, one of my attachments, stamped confidential. The fuse had been lit, and now the explosion had begun. The silence in the conference room was thick enough to hear the ticking of the wall clock behind me. James Price, the board's internal counsel, didn't waste time with small talk. "We've reviewed your report," he began, voice steady and composed. "What you provided is extensive." I nodded. It needed to be. Denise from HR sat frozen beside him, her hands clenched in her lap. This was no longer an exit interview. This was a legal pre-briefing, and she knew it. James continued. Several of the financial documents suggest serious breaches of fiduciary duty. Some could constitute fraud, if verified. They're already verified, I replied. Check the audit trail in the internal system. Everything is time-stamped and recorded. These aren't opinions. They're the company's own records. He studied me. I didn't flinch. What do you want from this, Kelly?